Dear students, in the first part of the lecture, we discussed about the meaning, definitions and scope of public administration. This also is a continuation of the first part. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the characteristics of public administration and public and private administration, its similarities. Characteristics of public administration. The nature of public administration implies in its characteristics. What are its principal characteristic features? Public administration today is vast and large scale organization. As discussed in the first part, all government activities are public administration. Hence, we can simply imagine the government administrative vastness. Secretariats, hospitals, roads, water, buildings, welfare activities, student scholarships, university administration. You discuss what not. Everything is part of public administration. The spectacular increase in the range and volume of its functions and activities necessitated this increase in size. The number of personnel engaged directly in the tasks of public administration in certain countries into the lakhs. For example, even you can think in Andhra Pradesh, we are having near about 9 lakh employees in the various government sectors. State, in other words, apart from the scales of its operation, even from the standpoint of public personnel employed, it is a vast organization. In the words of Nicholas Henry, the burgeoning bureaucracy is a phenomenon of public administration. Public administration is often monopolistic in the field of its activities. There are not many competitors. For example, you have to know that Indian Railways is the largest employer in the world. In such areas like post and telegraph, police, currency and coinage functions, there is a near monopoly of public administration. Some of the activities are purely under the control of the state. Further, the activities of public administration are characterized by a sense of urgency. It cannot brook any delay. Uniformity in its treatment of the citizens is a unique feature of public administration. Favored treatment or a special treatment of a chosen few is a anti-public administration. As for example, as in our country in India, the constitution gives rights to all citizens in equality. Even public administration is the same. It has to treat all the citizens equally. Public accountability of public administration is its other character. The question of administrative accountability is implicit in both policy formulation and implementation. Necessitating public administration's activities are regulated by elaborative rules and regulations, elaborative record keeping and having regard for precedents. This is one of the contributions of the Max Weber, who actually identified this type of elaborative rules and regulations. In his analysis, according to him, bureaucracy means it's a written documents. Each and every activity of personnel has to be recorded. This tends to make bureaucracy, it's a historically to a continuous process. The motto of public administration is public service. This consciousness of a community service makes public administration public or people oriented. Public interest and public welfare are its prime objectives. Lastly, it can be stated that public administration is a universal process which characterizes all collective effort. Without it, no government, whether in developed or developing countries, can survive. The first part of discussion describes that all government activities will come under the umbrella of public administration. So, the state is going to have a monopolistic control on various public services. Public administration, whatever is doing for the welfare of the common man as described by the government. There is another important discussion in public administration, that is public and private administration. What is public administration? What is private administration? So far we have discussed about public administration. Public administration operates in a government setting. The administrative affairs, private individuals or groups of individuals, association, company or corporation is private administration. Although they differ from each other as regards to scope and character, norms and accountability, but they have some things in common. It would be quite appropriate to study the differences first. The important differences. As Paul Appleby pointed out that three aspects: breadth of scope, impact and consideration, public accountability and political character differentiate public administration from private administration. Firstly, public administration is subject to political direction. Policies are laid down by the legislature and the ministers. Of course, in this task they are assisted by the civil servants. It was pointed out that all governmental organizations are not merely administrative entities. They are and must be political organisms. For the conduct of public affairs, selection of men and higher levels is generally according to political considerations. Private administration to a large extent is not political in character. Secondly, the scope of public administration is extensive. The scope of the activities of private administration, although increased in recent times, does not affect the lives of the people to that extent. They are also not that extensive. Thirdly, the main objective and guiding consideration of public administration is public welfare or service. The predominant consideration in private administration is profit motive. The profit seeking private organizations are less concerned in considering the public interest in their decision making structure and in the behavior of their administrators. This is one of the important aspects of differentiation between public and private administration. Public administration was never a profit motive. It is a welfare motive. It has to take care of all citizens of the country. Whereas private administration, for example, you can think of a Coca-Cola company, it is a profit motive. They work for the profit. Private administration is not that responsible to the public. In matters of finance, there is an external financial control in public administration and not so in private administration. Fifthly, it is well known that public administration is characterized by its bureaucratic behavior. In other words, the form and the procedure are given more importance than the substance. Public administration is basically a bureaucratic in nature. As we discussed previously, it is rules, it is regulations, it is authority from the top to bottom and the procedures what we are following. Whereas private administration, its objective is related with the profit and market. Further, public administration is mostly monopolistic in nature, whereas private administration is mostly competitive. Public administration, construction of 1 million houses for the common people is an objective of the public administration. Whereas private administration, they work in the market as a competitive. Competition is most important for them instead of the universality. Further, in public administration, officials have to work in anonymity unlike in private administration. Public administration, all people are the common. It is an anonymity, whereas private administration is not like that. For them, customers are most important, customer satisfaction is most important. Lastly, public administration carries much social prestige and its tasks are of a more pressing nature than private administration. The differences of public and private administration depends on the social prestige. The people, if they are going to be happy with the government, they will vote to the government will come back to the power. Whereas private administration, their important aspect is expanding their market area. If the people are unable to buy to do something, they simply close their shop. After the differences, we are going to concentrate on the similarities of it. On a closer examination, one finds that the differences between the two are 1 degree rather than of a kind. For instance, large private organizations also tend to be bureaucratic. Both are bureaucratic in nature, which takes care about the hundreds of countries. You can take a simple example of some of the world international banks. They are going to be cover almost about 100 plus countries. So they are also bureaucratic. Public administration also bureaucratic. This is one of the important close similarity. Second, there is an element of profit too in public undertakings. In recent times, similarities between the two are more stressed. Some of them are Many of the skills, clerical, accounting, statistical and managerial, these required are the common to the both. There is an exchange of personnel between the two. After 1950s, governments entered into business. That is what we are talking about, public undertakings. Government is doing public corporations, public companies. They are also following the same methods what the private companies are doing in the market. For instance, retired government officers are appointed to certain managerial posts in private administration. This would not have been possible if the skills are much different. A good number of retired officers are joining the private companies after they are completing their service in the government. In some of the countries like France, in America, the people from the government service in between they can resign and join in the private company, or after working in the private company they can come back to the government. The important objective is here that let whatever the benefits from the private organizations has to incorporate in the public organizations. Business practices and standards have been increasingly influencing the methods of public administration in matters like management of public undertakings through public corporation and companies. They differ not so much in theory and practices as in uses to which they are put. Even in their particular objectives, the gap between them is not very wide. They have special values and techniques of their own which gives each its distinctive character. We can conclude this discussion by quoting some of the important people that public administration is in a glass house where we can see, but private administration is brick and mortar house. So public administration, public organizations are open to the public. If something wrong, immediately you can sue them, you can ask them. Nowadays you can question under RTI, Right to Information Act. That's why they said public administration is a glass house, whereas private administration is in a brick and mortar house. Nothing has to be visualized to outside. You can't see, it's a closed curtain. Ultimately, we can say that whenever you talk of public and private administration aspects, public administration is a welfare motive of the helping people in the society, and it's an extension of a government activity. Whereas private administration is a profit motive, competitive, and they are going to work in the market. This is the first part of our discussion. Public administration is increasingly concerned with public policy in its formulation as well as in its implementation, and is serving the public interest and public welfare to a greater extent than ever before. In the context of the expanding frontiers of public administration is a broad ranging and amorphous combination of theory and practice. The student of public administration has to know differences between a public and private administration are coming to narrow. The governments are learning from the private administration of some of the skills like management by objectives, paperless administration, using a different type of techniques in the government administrators, whereas private administrators also learning things from the government, as we discussed previously, how the large scale organizations can be run, because the officers will be there in America, operations will be done in India. After the globalization of the present world, this gap has slowly reduced and public and private organizations are going together in various issues. Even governments thinking citizens as customers in some of the cases. Yes, nowadays we are seeing about people has to pay for each and everything. This is a government duty that whoever is earning various things, you have to pay the tax, you have to do the things, online payments, a different type of aspects we are learning from the private organizations. The understanding and the nature of the state is changing after the globalizations. This impact on public administration is that public and private administrations are going slowly similar way. Whenever we are talking of public administration and private administration, it is superior to understand the relationship in the society. One of the important concepts in public administration has arrived in 1970s by the 20 economists from the USA, that is called public choice school. This public choice school raises two fundamental questions. Question 1, a society is a democratic one, but whereas government administration is an autocratic, bureaucratic and a permanent. Public administration is dominated by the political scenario. The politician is elected only for the 5 years and the administrator is going to be for the lifetime. Public choice school questions it. Public choice school says in public administration, the political master is a temporary and administrator is a permanent. Hence, this bureaucratic system is nothing but a dictatorial relationship. This school raises the issue that in public administration, state is not only the one, along with the state, market is there. This philosophy they extended little bit further. We are paying the taxes, further government is providing the services. Why only the government is a single service provider? Why can't be a multiple providers? A hospital, why only a government hospital? And a telephone company, why only a telephone company? Why can't be a private companies running on telephones? So, these type of things raised about reducing the differences between a public and private has to be more than the public. Second important question raised by the public choice school is that we need a democratic administration. Let this bureaucracy has to come down. It is not has to work on based on hierarchy, it has to be based on work of teamwork. So, these are the two important things has supported the private administration in the concept of public choice. Second important concept is new public management. After 1980s, this concept dominates all over the world. This is nothing but an extension of public choice school. In public administration, as of our discussion, we say the state is important. State administration is important. State is everything. Government is everything. But new public management says no. In the state, three important organs are there. 1, government. 2, market. 3, civil society. So, the market takes care everything of the thing. Government only the duty is controlling the various aspects, and public representation is a civil society. What is a civil society in public administration? They say the civil society is non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, community based organizations. These different type of organizations are also going to help for the common people. The government is not only the provider of the services. We have to provide through the market, we have to provide through the civil society organizations. These two concepts dominated the public administration 1970s and 80s, and we can witness the changes in functioning of the government in various spheres. NGOs are dominant, government funds are coming to the public through NGOs, hence the domination of the new public management is there in public administration. Now we can simply conclude that in all over the world, the differences between a public and private administrations are reducing and both are working on almost about the same angle. I am going to give about the important questions to you. 1. Discuss the important characteristics of the public administration. 2. Write an essay on the similarities and differences of public and private administration. 3. Briefly explain the concepts of the public choice and the new public management in support of the private administration. For further study, you can go through Avasthi and Maheshwari, Public Administration. 2. Mohit Bhattacharya, Public Administration.